Is it possible that 19 men with box cutters could hijack 4 planes and carry out such a complex attack as 9/11? This question echoes in the minds of many as they ponder the events of that fateful September morning. The official narrative tells us of Al-Qaeda's attack on American soil, orchestrated by the infamous Osama bin Laden. Yet, despite the years that have passed, many around the globe remain unconvinced, raising numerous questions and doubts. The morning of September 11th, 2001 started like any other day, but it soon turned into a day that shook the world. A day that remains etched in our collective memory, a day that demands answers. According to the official narrative, 19 terrorists, all members of the extremist group Al-Qaeda, hijacked 4 commercial airplanes. 2 of these planes, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175, took off from Boston, headed to Los Angeles. But they never reached their destination. Instead, they were flown into the North and South Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, causing the iconic Twin Towers to collapse within hours. The third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, departed from Washington, D.C., destined for Los Angeles. This plane too was hijacked and directed not to the West Coast, but back to the nation's capital. It crashed into the Pentagon, the sprawling headquarters of the United States Department of Defense. The fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, left Newark for San Francisco. This flight would never reach its destination either. Instead, it ended in a field in Pennsylvania, brought down by the courageous passengers who fought the hijackers in an attempt to regain control of the aircraft. The devastation was unimaginable. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost in these attacks, making it one of the deadliest incidents of terrorism in world history. The images of that day, of smoke billowing from the Twin Towers, of people running in fear, of the wreckage at the Pentagon and the quiet field in Pennsylvania, are indelibly imprinted in our minds. This is the official account of the events that occurred on that fateful day. But as we delve deeper into the events of September 11th, we'll find that this story, like many in history, is not without its share of inconsistencies and unanswered questions. However, there are aspects of the official story that raise eyebrows. Let's delve into some of the puzzling inconsistencies and unanswered questions surrounding the events of September 11th. Firstly, consider the speed at which the planes struck the Twin Towers. They crashed at an incredibly high velocity, and yet the nation's air defense system did not intercept them. It's puzzling. Isn't it the United States, known for its robust defense mechanisms, was somehow unable to prevent this catastrophe? Then we have the collapse of the World Trade Center Building 7. This building crumbled to the ground even though it was not directly hit by an airplane. The official explanation? Fires caused by debris from the Twin Towers led to its downfall. However, many find this hard to swallow. It was the first and only steel skyscraper in the world to collapse due to fire, igniting a debate that continues to this day. The official narrative also doesn't address the alleged presence of thermite, a highly reactive incendiary substance in the World Trade Center dust. Multiple reports suggest that traces of this explosive material were found, raising questions about whether the buildings were brought down solely by the impact of the planes and the subsequent fires. Moreover, numerous witnesses claim to have seen explosions in the Twin Towers before the planes even hit. These accounts, largely ignored by mainstream investigations, add another layer of mystery to the unfolding narrative. Lastly, we are left with the haunting question: why weren't the hijacked planes intercepted in time? Despite multiple signs of a coordinated attack, authorities seemingly failed to react swiftly enough to prevent the tragedy. This, coupled with unclear answers about who truly financed and supported the terrorists, leaves room for speculation and doubt. These questions and inconsistencies fuel the fires of alternative theories. As we traverse the murky waters of this historical event, we must remember that seeking truth often involves challenging the accepted narratives. So let's continue to probe, question, and seek answers in our quest to understand the full story of that fateful day. The mysteries of 9/11 aren't just fodder for conspiracy theorists. Experts have also weighed in. Physicists have looked at the collapse of the Twin Towers and raised questions. The speed and symmetry of their fall seem inconsistent with the chaotic nature of a plane crash. Engineers too have expressed doubts, particularly about World Trade Center Building 7, which fell despite not being directly hit by any aircraft. They argue that a regular office fire, as was officially reported, would not have had the heat intensity to cause a steel-framed skyscraper to collapse in the manner it did. Explosive experts have also entered the debate. They have analyzed dust samples from the World Trade Center and found traces of thermite, a powerful incendiary. This discovery has led some to suggest that the buildings were brought down by a controlled demolition, not just the impact of the planes and the subsequent fires, but it's not just the physical evidence that raises questions. Declassified information has also provided some intriguing leads. For instance, there's evidence that certain governmental agencies had received warnings of an imminent attack, yet no substantial preventive measures were taken. Furthermore, there were also money trails that seem to lead back to well-established organizations, hinting at possible financial backing of the terrorists. Then there's the stock trading activity before the attacks. An unusually high volume of put options, essentially bets that a stock price will fall, were placed on the airlines used in the attacks and other related businesses, suggesting that someone might have had foreknowledge of the events. These expert testimonies and declassified information don't necessarily prove any of the alternative theories about 9/11. However, they do highlight that there are still many unanswered questions about that fateful day. These contributions further complicate the official narrative. Given these contradictions and unanswered questions, alternative theories have emerged. These theories range from the US government's possible involvement to the potential role of foreign powers. So let's delve into some of these alternative theories. One of the most prevalent theories suggests that the US government had prior knowledge of the attacks and allowed them to happen to justify the invasion of Iraq. This theory is primarily based on the premise that the US was looking for a reason to get involved in the Middle East, and the 9/11 attacks provided the perfect pretext. Another theory implicates the Israeli government in the attacks. Advocates of this theory often point to the 5 Israeli citizens who were arrested on the day of the attacks after being seen filming the event and celebrating. These individuals were later released without any charges, sparking further speculation. Hidden motivations are also a significant part of alternative theories. Some argue that the 9/11 attacks were used as a pretext to create a permanent state of security and control over the population. The introduction of the Patriot Act, increased surveillance, and the creation of the Department of Homeland Security are often cited as evidence of this theory. Another line of thought suggests that the attacks were a false flag operation. This theory implies that the attacks were deliberately orchestrated to justify the expansion of the American empire and the implementation of its foreign policy objectives. Finally, the geopolitical implications of the attacks cannot be ignored. The 9/11 attacks have had a profound impact on international politics and the global economy, leading some to question whether these outcomes were part of a larger, premeditated plan. These theories offer a different perspective on the events of 9/11. While they may seem far-fetched to some, they continue to gain traction due to the many unanswered questions and inconsistencies surrounding the official account of the attacks. It's important to remember that the search for truth often requires us to question what we've been told and explore alternative explanations. The events of 9/11 continue to be a topic of heated debate and investigation. We've traversed the official narrative, navigated the sea of inconsistencies and unanswered questions, and explored a variety of alternative theories. The official account tells us that 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 commercial planes, creating a day of terror that the world will never forget. Yet the speed at which the planes crashed, the collapse of World Trade Center Building 7, the traces of thermite found in the dust, and eyewitness accounts of pre-impact explosions all cast a shadow of doubt on this narrative. Alternative theories suggest a range of possibilities. Was this a false flag operation? Could the US government or other nations have played a more significant role? What were the hidden motivations behind such a horrific event? These questions remain, like ghostly echoes from that fateful September day. While we've delved deep into the complexities of 9/11, our journey is far from over. The quest for truth necessitates continuous investigation, a critical eye, and an open mind. We encourage you to seek out different perspectives, to question, to explore, and to research. After all, history is a puzzle, and every piece, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, has a role to play. The truth of what happened on 9/11 may still be out there waiting to be discovered.